Kat, and welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel if you are new here. My name is Kat, as I said, and this channel is a mix of a lot of things. I am primarily, at this moment, a eating disorder recovery channel, vlog type deal. I do books, I do lifestyle, I do some beauty. We got a lot going on here. So if you are interested in any of those things, definitely click that subscribe button. That would be sick. But anyway, today I am here to film a video that I have had to film for months now. I filmed the first video in this series way back in like December, and it's June, so it's been a minute. Don't worry, because I still remember what happened. So as you can tell by the title, today's video is going to be part 2 of my story time of the first 2 times I was in the psych ward. Actually, the only 2 times I was in the psych ward. Hopefully the only 2 times I will ever be in the psych ward, because not a great time. If you haven't seen part 1, I'll link that down below. But from here on out, I am assuming that you have. And also, I do want to throw a trigger warning out there. If you are in a place where you cannot hear about eating disorder behaviors, self-harm, SI, click off this video, please. I don't want to trigger anybody. That is not the reason that I'm filming this video. I'm just telling my story. Hey guys, hopping on, even though I already filmed the video, because I realized something. Basically, the tone of this video is kind of like funny, and it's not like I'm trying to like make this, like I'm not making fun of this experience or like trying to like make it seem like a joke. It's like serious, obviously, but I deflect with humor, and this is kind of like a more difficult story to tell, so I am a little bit more prone to deflecting. So I hope that doesn't bother anybody, but I think I'm gonna leave it because my last video was real depressing, and this one I don't want it to be super dramatic and depressing. So yeah, just thought I would say that. So back to the video. So where we left off a good 6 months ago was when I had bamboozled my way out of the psych ward the first time. So naturally I get out on the Sunday, and I'm like, I can totally make it to class on the Monday morning because I had class. That didn't go so well because I was exhausted, because being there was exhausting. I slept in and I didn't go to class. On Mondays, well, pretty much every day, I was kind of working where I thought like, oh, let me just like work every day and they'll really like me and they'll give me a job. I worked most days of the week. Like, I would go in on Monday between classes, so I believe that I did go in on that Monday, but it could have been the Tuesday. I'm not positive, but I know that I for sure worked all day on Tuesday, because that was like my hours. Was I worked 8 hours on Tuesday and Thursday, and then I would come in on Monday, Wednesday, and I worked 8 hours on Friday as well. But little did I know, I had already worked my last Friday there, so party in the psych ward. I was at this point so mentally and physically exhausted. I mean, I had gotten out of the hospital, but I really shouldn't have been, and that's not really my doctor's fault. That's like my fault because I lied.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my god, stop fucking lying. But
I had no business being out of the hospital. My SI was still super high, and if you don't know, SI is suicidal ideation, which is what it sounds like, unfortunately. But I had super high urges. I was pretty much hanging on because I was like, I have this job, and I had kind of thrown my entire identity into that job. Especially not good with like a temporary clerk position at a firm when you're in law school. So yeah, I had kind of thrown my entire identity into this job. So that kind of kept me going. I knew I had a psychiatrist appointment coming up like the next Monday, and I had my appointment with my therapist on Tuesday after work. So I did go to that, and I had the Tuesday appointment, and we had previously had an appointment scheduled for that Thursday, which obviously like I didn't have to have, but we decided, like, given where I was at, that I probably should go to the appointment on the Thursday. So we ended up keeping that appointment, and thank God we did, because oh boy. Essentially, I work through the week and I am not eating still. I'm severely restricting. This was probably the lowest point of my restriction that I had been, and it had been for a while. I was probably eating like 200 to 300 calories a day. Like, that was it. So I was essentially dying, which is so fun. And yeah, I had no energy, but I kept going to work anyway. I had no actual passion for anything that I was doing, but I have a lot of people with eating disorders, you know, that need for like perfection, and that came out for me in like trying to like give my all to work, which in my head, I mean, I was going to work all the time and I was like constantly there, so like I really thought that I was doing a good job. I don't know if I was, because honestly I can't remember. Like recently I learned this. Apparently last summer I watched like 2 seasons of Broad City with my roommate, and I do not remember doing that at all. And I was like, I have not seen this. And 2 of my roommates were like, no, like you sat on the couch for 2 days and watched it with her. And I was like, huh, kind of bizarre. Memory not so good. So Thursday comes, and on Thursday I work all day, and then towards the end of the day one of the attorneys was like, can I talk to you? And I was like, I have this like premonition, like it's gonna sound fake obviously because like I know what happened, but like I don't know, earlier in the week I thought like, what if I just like lose my job? Like what would I do? Like, but no, like I'm doing a good job. Like I'm fine. I'm not gonna get fired or anything. Basically, he took me to his office and told me that they were restructuring for the new year and that there was no longer a position for me. Which at the time, because I had just kind of made work my entire identity, because I really didn't have anything else going for me in my head, because I wasn't doing great in school and I had no social life. I had pretty much nothing, because all I had was the energy to like get to work and then go home and like, you know, go to class and barely pay attention or whatever. So that was like crushing in the moment. And when like your SI is already like here and then you like lose the last little piece of your identity, it's like whew. And I remember they said that I could work through Thanksgiving, which was like 2 days. I was like, yeah, let me get my life organized in 2 fucking days. Like, okay, buddy. I mean, I intended to do that, but at the same time I didn't, because I was like waiting for people to leave. So when the office was like basically empty, I was like crying and like cleaning my shit out of my desk. Like I had a bunch of like mini Coke things, like for my birthday, like Coke cans. One of the paralegals was so nice, and she got me all this Coke, and so did another one actually. So I had all these cans of Coke in my desk, and I like put them in the fridge. I cleaned out everything else. I was like planning on being there the next 2 days, but also planning on like being dead. So I don't really know. I didn't know for sure like what my plan was at this point. All I knew was that I had no identity anymore. And so I leave work after most people are gone so that I could just like dip out. And I know that I threw away like my bag with like my work planner and stuff, like just tossed it in like a street garbage. I was like, gotta go. And I get on the bus, and I was talking to my coworker on the phone, because like she was like, what happened? And I was like, I told her what happened, and I was like crying on the bus, whatever. I was so mad and like sad, and just like all of these emotions that now looking back, like I would not want to work in that office anyway. Like I wouldn't, because there were like toxic comments about like,
why would anybody want to be anorexic? Like, you look disgusting.
Like snide comments like over to the side from mainly one person. But like, you know, I won't get into that. It was not a good environment for me to be in. Looking back, like that was a good thing, and I think it was also a good thing because it kind of forced me into treatment. So I'm on the bus, and we're chugging along towards therapy. And after I hung up with my friend, I was like, okay, here's the plan. In my head, I knew all of the medications that not only I had in the house, but that my roommates had in the house. And I was like, perfect, let me just do a little head math. I'm terrible at math unless it's like calculating calories or drug like milligrams. Like that's it. That's all that I can do in my head. So I'm like, let me just do a little math here and see which ones together, which ones are most likely to cause respiratory failure. Stupid. Not gonna say what they are, because I would like, nope, don't need to share that info. And then I was like also I'll just stop and get some new razors, because like we can just do a double thing and then like one of them's bound to do it, you know? But thank God that I had my therapy session, because my therapist convinced me that we should probably walk across the street to the hospital. Thank God for that. Like, he gave me some granola bars because he knew that like you sit for a long time waiting to be admitted, and he did all the paperwork, and he called my psychiatrist, who was like sassy as hell. Like, he was like, get her own room. Last time she was here it was a disaster. It's like, I got my own room, but we're back on the train to freaking psych ward. And I'm like, oh my God. In the end of the last story, you know, the guy who said like, here's my number, see you on the other side thing, I was like, please don't still be here. I don't want to see you. Luckily he was gone. This admission went smoother, and like I knew what was coming. I was like, okay, here we go. I had my roommates come and bring me my stuff, and when they did and they were taking my blood, you know, one of my roommates does not like blood, Gina, she does not like blood, so she was standing out in like the hall. Arthur was just there, and they kept trying to poke this arm, which never really works for blood. And I was like, just do this one. I know it's got a bruise from like 2 days ago, but like, come on, let's go. So finally they switched to this one, and Arthur's like sitting there, and he's just like, his mom's a phlebotomist, so he's like, I'm all about that blood life, fam. So it was nice like to have them there like when I was being admitted, and then also like because they could bring some of my clothes and my books so that I didn't have to like stay in this stupid like hospital. The hospital, they give you these like tear-proof clothes, and they're like bright green, and they're hideous, and it's like frigid up there, and they're short sleeved. But they brought me some clothes so that like at least like after all the check-in stuff happened, I put on my clothes. And at that point it was kind of late. It was after dinner by the time like everything got organized, and they were like, oh, can we bring you some food? And I was like, no. And I know that this time I was there was one real bad issue. So they weigh you. I don't know if they weigh everybody every day, but they were weighing me every day. So they weighed me the first day that I got in there, and I remember their number. And I remember the guy who was weighing me being like, whoa. And I was like, yes, a prize for dying. But yeah, so it kind of was bad because they didn't do like blind weights there. Like, you just like got weighed, and they just, you know, said your weight, and that was triggered. But after they did all that, like I get all checked in and I go to sleep. Now welcome to the next morning. Inpatient is more relaxed than like when I went to eating disorder treatment later, like for residential treatment. Like inpatient in the hospital is more relaxed, and that like there's groups but you don't have to go, and like there's times for stuff but like you don't have to go. This time though sucked because like for the first like 36 hours like I was like 1-to-1. It was like morning, you know, they wake you up. I mean, they do checks throughout the night, but then they do come by and wake you up in the morning. Like they'll come by with like the meds on like a cart, then like they scan your bracelet and they give you your meds or whatever. So they did that. It's morning. I'm like, okay. And they're like, do you want to come down to breakfast? And I'm like, I probably should, because I was kind of hungry at this point. And also like you have to make like some friends because you're gonna be there for some time, and like you can't just talk to nobody. So I go down to breakfast, and this time there are more people like around my age, which was like, you know, sad because I hate that people are dealing with these feelings because it sucks. But also I was like, thank God, because like at least I'll have some people to talk to. So we get breakfast, sit down. I remember that I didn't really eat much of the breakfast. They would mark down like the percentage that I ate, but since it's not like an eating disorder specific like inpatient, it's just like regular psychiatric inpatient, they, you know, don't have any policy of like you need to eat X, Y, and Z. So didn't really eat, but I did make some friends, so at least I had that. There was like one other person there who was like in my boat of like, why do we have to eat? Like, excuse me? Yeah, so this time was a little better. There was lots of coloring, you know, we had some fun. We did, like, we started doing group yoga that I led with my knowledge from the YouTube internet world. And I'm like, well, there's a couple ED patients here just doing yoga, but like, okay. The problem this time was that they would weigh me. So during the middle of the day, they called me, I think this was like before lunch, I don't know, they called me to like weigh me. They wanted me to see a dietitian or whatever, but they weighed me, and then they like would tell me my weight. And the first day I was like, okay, it's the same, we're fine. And then they get the dietitian, which in the end, yep, Insure Plus, would be on my plate. Yes, it would. But I was a sneaky sneak. What I would do was at meals, when I would get the insurer, it wouldn't be cold. So I'd be like, hey, can you put this in the fridge? Which they like locked, but then would open during snack time. I was like, can you put this in the fridge and I can have it at snack instead? And they were like, sure. And then I would do that, and there was this woman who for some reason loved them because I'd put it in there, and then like when we'd go up to the fridge to like ask for what we wanted for snacks, she'd be like, can I have that? I'd be like, is that yours? She'd be like, yeah, and she would drink it. So it was a great system. They weighed me every day, and the second day after I had like kind of eaten some food, my weight was like going up. So when they would weigh me, I would panic because every time it was just going up and up and up and up. And I was like, this is so awful. For that stay, I ended up there for 5 freaking days. 5 whole days. I read so much. I would meet with my psychiatrist most of the days, and we adjusted some meds, which was good. I had some group therapy, you know, like I actually tried to participate in it this time. Group kind of helped. This time I tried to like actually take advantage of being there, because obviously like I tried to get out so fast the first time because I hated it that I ended up right back. My memory is a little foggy now that I'm thinking back on this. This was also when I decided with my psychiatrist that I was going to take a leave of absence from school, which was really difficult to do considering it was almost the end of the semester, but I know that I wouldn't have passed anything anyway. I wouldn't have made it to finals, which sounds dramatic, but like I wouldn't have. So I had to call school and do all that, and that was kind of a identity crisis time. And obviously taking the leave of absence meant that I didn't get to graduate with my class. But now that graduation has passed and I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm gonna go back in the fall and that's gonna be how it is. It was kind of a better experience the second time around. And I'm back again, currently editing me to say something because I forgot probably the best part of this whole story, and that is that when my friends came to drop my stuff off, they also took some of my stuff back with them, like stuff that I wouldn't be allowed to have like in the hospital, which included my coat and my shoes. When I left, like this is 5 days later, like I'm leaving, I have no shoes and no coat because somebody else came to get me from the hospital, and also we were taking an Uber, and I was like, yeah, I literally have no shoes, they're not here. And one of the guys was like, oh, hold on, I can find something, and he asked what size I was. I was like a 7.5. He's like, okay, I got it. And he runs and he goes and he must look in like the closet where they keep stuff that like maybe people left before, and he comes back with like a pair of sandals, like black like gladiator sandals, and gives me those. So I probably looked so just right at home leaving in December wearing like my friend's coat and gladiator sandals with socks when there was snow on the ground and it was like 20 degrees. Probably a high point in my life. As much as treatment sucks, it's also like not the worst thing ever. But yeah, that was a very scattered, probably half hour of me speaking. I just know that I actually tried to take things into consideration this time around and realized I'm very fatalistic. I love to catastrophize. I spent a lot of those nights crying about the job, but by the time I left, I was like, you know what? It's fine. You get jobs, you lose jobs, you do, like, that's life. And your whole identity does not have to be work. My identity is not work anymore. My identity is a combination of my values and maybe a little bit of like what I plan to do, but my identity is not 100% staked in work/school. And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, even people who don't really struggle as much with mental illness. I think that in this country we really overemphasize the importance of work, and we overwork ourselves, and it's like a contest who can have the most busy schedule and like who's the most tired, and it's just like a pissing contest, and it's awful. And if you guys take anything away from this video, besides not to bamboozle your doctors, take the fact that work does not have to be your entire identity. And it is not your entire identity, and you are so much more than your job, okay? Just remember that. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like or comment down below. I really appreciate you guys, the 30 or so of you who've been watching my videos. Like, honestly, it really touches me, and your comments have been really helpful to me throughout this last few months. And thank you so much for sticking around. And I hope that you want to continue to stick around for more future content. Yeah, I really do appreciate you guys. So bye guys. Hopefully I'll see you in my next video.